I think I will let Christos introduce himself first because he has been connected for quite a long time. So we will go with Christos and then we could interact with Sonia and Douglas. So that's for you, Christos. Thank you.
Once again, allow me to thank you for your kind invitation to today's summit, to Changemakers Summit of 2020, the Europe Day today. Let me comment that these are very interesting and challenging times we are living in. Um, and so far, I have heard very insightful points on how we can deal with these not just upcoming challenges, but challenges that we face already. And we struggle to adjust to the new realities. But first of all, allow me to introduce my association. As I might have already said, I represent the Greek form of refugees. I work as a communication officer in the association, and this is an association of refugee and migrant communities based on Athens that has been established in 2010, but it has an actual it has actually started to work on the field since 2007. It's an association consisted of refugees, migrants, but also individuals that work in the association and are willing to contribute with their knowledge and their skills. Um, what this association does is community empowerment. Basically, since we are consisted of refugee and migrant communities, we try to raise their voice through our association, and we are giving them space to advocate on their own and on themselves. We just step back a little bit, and we kindly push them in front to step up for themselves and advocate for themselves for their rights and their obligations. This is something I have to say new that we face in the public sphere. The fact that refugees are able to address both their rights and obligations. We are, during the last 5 years, we constantly listen, and now I'm referring to more the Greek audience. We constantly listen that refugees are only people that have rights and do not have obligations. This is not this is not entirely the truth. And I've heard many refugees wishing to contribute to the public space by taking part in city councils, in committees, in every aspect of the daily local life. I have seen their concern, and I also share the concern that Israel expressed earlier in the summit, where he said that he doesn't want to see himself as a passive, beneficiary of assistance, of help. He wants to contribute, and he wants to contribute, and he wants to show that he's able to perceive reality in his own way, and not just as a beneficiary. I'm really glad that I heard this argument, because this is something that we strongly support in our association. Uh, this is the reason why we try to network in local, in national, in European and international level, not just with the refugees themselves, but also with the institutions. Technically, we work as the mediator between refugee communities and the institutions that make decisions. So our ultimate purpose is to include refugees in these procedures, to raise their voice, to listen to their voice, because we do actually support the idea that refugees can be the part of the solution, not just the problem. And this is something that we need to highlight, and I think it has been already highlighted through this summit. It has been 100% clear that we are ready to include the people in the decision making. And I'm very glad that I'm taking part in a panel where I can see refugees addressing their, the issues that concern them and this population, and they are able to address it in such a great level. Uh, well, we can see that there is a number of people that have talents and have skills, and we need to promote actually these people. We need to convince them to stand in front and to tell their story and to share their experience and their expertise. I have to tell you that not every refugee wishes to step back and to extend his hand and ask for assistance. There is also people like Israel, and I'm very happy that I met him. Met him. I'm very happy that I keep seeing people having this crave to step in front and to talk and to raise their voice and to say, okay, we're not just passive receivers of help and assistance. We wish to contribute to your society, and this is also our society now. And one reason why I'm both proud and optimistic hearing, Israel singing Greek songs is, well, I'm proud because I keep in mind that my country has showed and expressed solidarity in very difficult and dark times for Europe, and and my country has standed for European core values. By the way, this is what we celebrate today. We celebrate we celebrate Europe. We celebrate the European core values under which we united Europe. So solidarity was one of the solid things that pushed us to this union. And second, this is the very foundation of of uh, of social development, of social, of how we will establish the grounds to, to make this country even more progressive. I understand that we are living in very difficult times where we either see the glass half full or half empty. But this is a choice we need to make. And I think this is something that drive us, all of us today, to take part in this conversation, the crave of making an impact to our society and to change something that seems to prevail, xenophobia or racism or any negative sentiment that escorts refugees and migrants issues. uh, well, right now I understand that this is a puzzle with missing pieces, and we really need multiple initiatives at the same time by every relevant stakeholder. Uh, Europe is also a puzzle with different aspects and realities. We have people that want refugees. We have people that do not want refugees. Uh, we also have, our organizations, our associations. Sorry.
But, sorry, go ahead. It was a mic that was open. Go ahead. Sorry, okay. Christos. But Christos, just to, if you can wrap it up. So we want to go into the discussion of the panel. So
I will wrap it up. Yeah, for sure. Just to sum up right now, we need to reestablish the public discourse. We need to start from the very beginning, and we need to understand every party that takes part in this discourse. It's first of all, it's the local perception that we need to understand. If we stay to the perspective, to the argument that every person that has a question to raise is a fascist, then I'm pretty sure that we have lost we have lost the main idea. If we stay to the perception that the Greek state does not want refugees, or they want them, and if we try to simplify a more complicated question, I think we have lost it again. What we need to do right now is to reestablish the public discourse by uniting every different aspect of the public sphere. We need to engage with the local society, because right now these are the people that we need to convince that not every refugee is a criminal, and not every refugee is a kind person which is willing to step back and listen to you. We need to understand that refugees are people with emotions, and it's the same thing with the local people. Local people are also people with emotions. Everyone is very emotional in the moment, and we have to be very rational in our judgment, and we have to be very rational, and we have to be just. We have to understand the different realities that are in conflict right now. So I know how this is going to be heard, but I do believe that coronavirus was actually a problem solver. It actually operated as as a time changer, because we were at the bridge of a very difficult crisis, and I do know as a fact that something really changed. It's been 2 years we were discussing about Lesbos getting the Nobel Prize, and right now we are talking about fascism increasing in Lesbos. I do believe that the truth is somewhere in the middle, and this is why we need to reestablish the public discourse, and we have to it's an opportunity that it's been given to us right now to connect different aspects of reality, and to once again to promote dialogue. This is the key to every conflict. So I don't want to take more of the time. I once again thank you very much for the kind invitation. I always remain at your disposal, and my association is always open to dialogue, and we are always open to show different aspects of reality. It's not black and white. It's we have to be pragmatic in this. It's not a crisis. It's a challenge. We have to face it as a challenge if we are to to make a change and to make an impact to society. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much, Christos, for that overview. It was incredible and very inspiring. Thank you. And I think it'll open up, set a good platform for the discussions. And there's always two sides, and it's important for us to realize that. So, and so for the next panel, and I just want to quickly share some points briefly before Sonia and Douglas go ahead, because they've been in the heart of many things. And these are two inspiring entrepreneurs, well, not entrepreneurs, sorry, people that left everything and moved to Lesbos to empower asylum seekers, have made Lesbos their home, and have come under a lot of fire. And I think there's going to be a lot of debate possibly between Douglas and I. So before we go into that, and this is what it's about, different opinions. But I do want to say the one thing about the public discourse, Christos, that you mentioned is, I think in 2015, people are stuck with those numbers in their minds. And I think it's important actually to put it on a slide. And I didn't have the opportunity, just didn't put it together, but just want to give you quick numbers for Greece. And for those who are watching, in Greece in 2015, Arthur, sorry, can you mute please? Thank you. So in 2015, there was 856,000 people that came into Greece in 2015, 856,000. The following year was 173,000 in 2016. 2017, 30,000. 2018, 32,000. 2019, 60,000. Christos, to your point, we don't have a refugee crisis. And I understand that in Turkey, there's 4 million people that are there as well, but from Greece has got about 150,000. But from a European perspective, it's these numbers, Germany alone has taken 1 million and showed incredible solidarity. So we need to change the misunderstanding that people have to raise better awareness. And specifically on Lesbos, 20,000 people. We're losing. We in discourse about European values over, and Lesbos being a hotspot for 20,000 people. Now, 25,000 for Lesbos context is huge for Lesbos, but in the context of Europe, it's nothing. And I want to highlight just one last point before Douglas and Sonia speak, is that, and then Arthur makes the introduction, 66% of the population of the refugee asylum seekers on Lesbos is women and children. 66% women and children. 70% of those children are under 12 years old. So people really have the wrong perception. And it's important that we find ways to better inform one another, understanding people's fears, and not, as you mentioned, Christo, this thing of this person's a fascist, this one is this, because people have got their fears and concerns about, they're concerned about their own futures that they feel is being pulled under the carpet from them. So, which is disorientating them with a lack of solutions based on fear that the rest of Europe doesn't want anyone, because every time they hear about Lesbos, they don't hear about the Rudis, the Israels, the Jalals, the Lubnas, and Parwanas and the like. So we need to raise better awareness. So I just wanted to mention that part. So Arthur, over to you, if you can make an introduction to our next inspiring guests, and I'm holding my breath to see how it goes.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm activating my video. Thank you for this insight, Christos. And before I jump on our next speakers, I would like to say we had a question from Daphne, who asked to provide, it was a question for Christos, but actually the question was, could you please give us a brief overview of the current situation in Greece? And I think that Vasily has answered it in a way. So I hope it was great for you, Daphne. And if it was not, please tell us, and we will ask Christos to respond to it. Okay,